Imagine for a second that you're completely immortal, invulnerable to damage, aging, whatever, you name it. Forget for a second anything about the ramifications of living through centuries of world advancement. What would you do? Seriously, with infinite time living, what would you do as an immortal being? Well, you would most certainly spend a couple hundred years improving yourself and getting over your newfound immortality. But then, you would spend the better part of the rest of your life learning new things and experiencing all you can. Novelty and mastery. But imagine what you would learn. You learn all the languages that have ever rolled off a tongue. You learn to sew and build furniture. I mean, with infinite time, why not just learn how to build a rocket just so that you can watch Interstellar in space? Well, it's almost a certainty that none of us will magically become immortal. The moral or lesson that we can learn from examining immortality is that immortals are unshackled by restrictions to follow their desires. When you're immortal, why not do everything in the world? So what does this have to do with the video's title, You Will Die? Well, simply put, you should act as if you were immortal. That's right. You should always strive to do what you want to do, not because it's the right thing to do to become successful or whatever, but because it's what you want to do. You may have doubts here. An immortal being obviously has different concerns and limitations to the mortal body, and you may even say that being immortal is a curse in disguise. We won't go into why that is, but let's just expand our understanding on why immortality seems so bad. So think of an average person. They have a lifespan of 80-something years, barring any early health risk. They're molded by the surroundings and cultures to expect to die around their 80s, and by the time they reach that, they're basically already resigned to their death. They don't want to live to their 120s because they feel like they're 40 years past their expiration date. However, that same person would also be fearful in an earlier death. If you told them that they would die by 40 due to an incurable cancer, they would be heavily distraught. Just as we say it is cruel to cut a life early, it would also be cruel to extend someone's life past their normal death. Yet this normal death is a social construct. It's an idea that we have formed ourselves over years of social conditioning. Now, a giant turtle can live upwards of 100 years, with the natural ceiling being around 150. Now, what if you limit the turtle's life to only 70, 80 years? Their normal life is adjusted around this longer time span, and thus they would be left distraught and left unfulfilled. I mean, assuming they had the intelligence to understand these concepts. But now let's take a common housefly. Each one lives anywhere from 3 weeks to a month. Now, if you force a fly to live for, let's say, a year, which is 12 times their normal lifespan, that would be torturous to them. They would think, why live past their purpose? Okay, so what does any of this mean? When you examine it, our ideas of death and life are not formed by innate biological responses, but by conditioning and social culture. We know we will all die, whether you're an atheist or whatever religion you partake in. One thing is still consistent at the end. This life we have will end in 60 years, or maybe in 1 minute. So what are you going to make of it? See, when you're immortal, you have all the time in the world to do whatever your heart desires. Does that mean that because you're mortal, you can't do what your heart desires? No. In fact, it only means that you should do what your heart desires even more. Listen, suppose we have 80 years on Earth. Do you plan spending that time scrolling on your phone and just drifting? Our idea of death is based on social construct, so bear with me here. Why not imagine you're immortal? That you'll never die, nothing no matter what happens. How does your life change when you realize how long of life you actually have? What you can do, what you will do? Regardless of what you believe after death, it is clear that life is in some way a gift. If you believe in a god, then the gift is from a god. If not, then it's the gift of random chance. So why squander it by taking cheap dopamine all the time? When we die, we will be forgotten within 100, maybe 200 years. Even if you turn out to be some Albert Einstein, you'll eventually be forgotten to time. Maybe not your work, but you will for sure. Your life is a precious thing, and as Benjamin Franklin once said, in this world, nothing is certain except for death and taxes, and most of us agree that we are not hedonists, and that we do not simply seek pleasure at its most easily ready state. So why do we spend so much time glued to our phone, rotting away inside of our rooms? Tell me, what have you done in the last hour that either A, give you genuine happiness, or B, work towards a larger goal that you had? If you can't answer that question, then what did you really do in the last hour? This isn't to shame you, it isn't to say, why aren't you 100% motivated and driven all the time? But be honest, do you really need this break? Is it necessary for you to spend the next hour or so diving deeper into this rabbit hole of self-improvement? Guess what, man? The first step, the first action, the first plan for any of those self-help programs is just to start. Genuinely, just start. You only have so many seconds on Earth. Every time you use a second of your life on something like scrolling, it's detaching from something else. Ask yourself, what's your dream? Not getting rich or being successful, just what makes you happy just because you do it. Maybe something as simple as helping the people around you. It could also be as grandiose as trying to solve inequalities. Either way, you shouldn't let mortal shackles confine you. Why do you think you can't do something when you haven't tried it? See, being realistic is the loser's way out. The phrase, you miss every single shot you don't take, is incredibly applicable here. Every single innovator, every single great mind, every single peacemaker, they all had doubts. Yet they all thought to themselves and weighed the pros and cons. For some, yeah, the pros outweighed the cons, so it was an easy choice. Yet for others, the cons outweighed the pros. Every piece of logic said they shouldn't chase their dreams, and that it was just safer to do the safe option. But they didn't listen. You know why? They thought of a different angle, a different perspective that didn't factor into their calculation. They saw a new variable and didn't just shrug it off as a mistake or false image. Instead, they reinvented the equation by fitting in that new variable. That variable is different in every single person, yet at the same time, it's the same variable. Take a guess. It's you. You are the variable, the X factor, the secret weapon in your life. In the end, no matter what you've been told by other people, you are innately aware of yourself. Even if you don't know it, you are capable of achieving great things. If you don't think so, you just haven't been looking in the right spots. Think. You just survived how much of life? You pushed through the gutter endless of times and still rose up on top, more or less yourself. Time and time again, life has put you against the wall, and even if you burst your back or you squirmed your way out, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you made it out. Life is hard, and you keep on fighting, and that alone is enough to be proud about. Let's ground all this conceptual thought. So first, life is precious, and no matter what your views are on religion or death, it is a simple fact that your life is a special thing. Whether gifted by God or chanced into existence, we should not squander it. Second, treat your life like you're not immortal. Second, treat your life like you are immortal. Learn everything you can, do everything you can, because in the end, your death is guaranteed, and it will come sooner than you were expecting. Why wait till you are 60 to enjoy your life, rather than just starting now? Of course, there's many issues to this whole thought process. I understand for many that you feel locked into this cycle of drowning. It feels like you're dunked underwater for days at end, and occasionally you can jump out and get a catch of air, but of course you're shoved under right after. Perhaps you struggle through the weekdays, a slog that seems to take forever. Just for when the weekend arrives, you feel exhausted and it passes by too quickly. The fix here isn't to try to make your weekends better, it's to stop treating this like a cycle. As we previously discussed in past videos, if you just change your mindset, you'll become happier. Thinking about your week as a cycle where you start with hard work and end with a nice break is exactly how old people end up as miserable people. It's because they spend their whole life grinding away and expecting a nice break at the end, but by that end, their bodies are broken and their death is soon. You need to treat your life as your life, not a loading screen for the endgame. Enjoy what you do, and if you don't enjoy what you do, then learn to. Trust me, learning to enjoy school and work got me through years of otherwise shitty hours wasted. The process of enjoying your life creates more joy outside of just doing the hard work. Speaking of which, when you do have free time, maybe just for once, don't pick up your phone. Maybe consider if you really want to play video games tonight. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. I love doing those things too, but no life should just be about that. What you really want is delayed gratification. A perfect example of this is working out. And the process of working out is painful. Your lift hurts your muscles and it strains you mentally. However, do you ever notice that when you're finished you feel more mentally clear or just happier? This is a perfect example of delayed gratification, where instead of having dopamine just be given to you, you have to work to get it. So this not only trains your brain to do this sort of delayed gratification more, but it makes you more fulfilled overall. This type of happiness not only gives you more dopamine and serotonin, but it also makes you more fulfilled spiritually. This delayed gratification comes in many forms, but you know what? Often when we do things like go on a walk, study instead of playing video games, or just cooking yourself a nice meal, it improves us, bit by bit. Yes, we will all die around the age of 80, our lives are short, we aren't immortal, but just because you won't keep your car forever doesn't mean you shouldn't maintain it. We are still given one life. What we make of it defines it. So realize, you aren't immortal. You don't have eternity to fix yourself and make yourself into the best version ever. Instead, what you do have is this instant, this very second. Have fun, yes, but be mindful of what you're doing, because one day, you will die. and the only real measure of your life is how you lived it. So spend the time to be the best you can be.